What's good, world? It's your boy, Dewey the Don, Global Ambassador of Youth for Usher's New Look, and I'm excited to bring to you episode 2 of our speaker series, Money Talks. Today is all about long money. What is long money? That is how you can get into investing, how you can make your money work for you instead of you working for your money, all right? Now, first of all, before we get in today, let's shout out my man DJ Black Magic on the ones and twos, most definitely. Rocking. Next up, who we got? Definitely, we got a live studio audience tonight, you know what I'm saying? Y'all make some noise. Definitely. And we are most definitely going live from our Instagram as well as our Facebook. So everyone who's watching live, make sure that you're sharing this and using the hashtag Money Talks, hashtag Disruptivators, and following us, New Look Atlanta. So without further ado, I'm gonna slide to the right and introduce my man, Tony Benton, our moderator for today. Y'all make some noise.
What's up, everyone? My name is Tony Benton Jr., and I will be your moderator for this episode 2 of Money Talks. The subject is long money. We are talking about how we are keeping our money not short. We don't want a little bit of money. We don't want money for right now. We want money for a long period of time. We want a lot of it. So why don't we get to this money? So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into it. I've got a phenomenal panel here with you guys today. Oh my gosh. Shout out to all of those on Instagram Live, Facebook Live. Be sure to share, like, throw your hearts, your thumbs up, and everything else. Share. So I want to get into it. My panelists, phenomenal. I mean, they even look like they're here to tell us how to get to this money. The first panelist, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Onaje Henderson, co-founder of Zuccotti Gallery. Give it up. My next panelist, we have Erica Blair, who is the CEO of Young Wall Street Traders. Y'all give it up for Erica. Next up, we have David Thomas, Suntrust Bank. He's an investment portfolio manager. Y'all give it up for David. And last but not least, John Harris, a realtor, you guys, 285 Realty. Y'all give it up for John Harris. Y'all give it up. So, you guys, I want to jump on into it. I want to start off from the beginning for you guys. So, you know, we're riding down the street, 10 years old. We riding bikes, you know, outside playing basketball. When did it come to you guys' head? I mean, was it in college? Was it young? Does it run in the family? About you getting into investment. What is your personal investment story? Let's start here with you, Onaje.
I think for me, I've always been around, fortunate being around people who have either invested wisely or either were successful in corporate America. So growing up, I didn't even have a choice when it came to college. My parents used to tell me, you're going to Tuskegee, you're going to major in engineering. Now, they just said that it gave me a goal, but I could have done anything else. But I did go to Tuskegee. I finished in mechanical engineering on scholarship. But the idea behind all of it was that I knew, because I also had entrepreneurs in the family, I didn't want to work for people for a long time. So I always said I wanted to definitely have, I never want to have the golden handcuffs. So from an idea of golden handcuffs, what I mean is that you can make as much money as you possibly can, but somebody still owns you. So like a lot of times, for a lot of people, you know, you say, oh, I'll make this much. Well, if I make $5,000 an hour, somebody's writing that check for $5,000 an hour. So I said, well, how do I get out of that? Now, I'd much rather take the risk on me. So what I did was I prepared very early. So what I started doing, the moment I got my first job, I went and got a financial advisor, and I began investing money. But I invested money with the plan to, at some point, I knew I was going to need it. I said I had a 10-year goal. I said I will not let the golden handcuffs, whatever raise that was going to come at the end, I was going to still walk away. And what I did was I took that, I'd saved up enough cash to leave after those 10 years, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm on. Wow. So that for me, I invested a little bit differently, and I was very aggressive in how I invested because I needed cash, because I never forgot. I also had a Nissan Sentra until that thing died on me, because I knew I wanted to leave corporate America. So I wasn't trying to create new bills for me. So I could afford a lot more. I was 26 years old making over 6 figures, but I knew how much I needed to invest in me to be able to leave. So I kept that goal the entire time.
Just as important to invest in yourself as you're investing out there with others. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all give it up. Come on. That's Onaje. Next, Erica Blair. Erica, talk to me. What's your personal investment story.
Sure. So my investment story is totally different from his. We didn't talk about finances as a kid growing up. Definitely didn't talk about stocks and bonds and investing and securing a financial future. It was basically living check to check. My mom was a single parent. She told me to focus on school, make sure I get good grades. I graduated at the top of my class. And like you, I did go on into engineering. So, you know, the whole thing was get a good job, make sure you stay on that job, retire from that job, get a pension, and create some stability for yourself. So that was what I was told. So I did that. I went on to Tennessee State with a full scholarship, graduated magna cum laude with electrical engineering, and worked in engineering for years. But I had the golden handcuffs on, because I was dependent upon that check every month, and I was dependent upon those bonuses at the end of every year. And 5 years after being in engineering and doing very well, that's when you had the dot-com crash, and everything started to fall away, and companies started laying off. And because I was one of the younger people who had got hired on right out of college, I was one of the first to be laid off. So I knew I was good at school, so I said, hey, let's go back to school. I'm laid off. I got a good little severance check. I'll go back and get an MBA. And so I got my MBA and took a finance course and learned about investments. And I was like, wow, I can be making money like this? And so a light went off, and I went on to get a job at an investment management firm where I managed $250 million of institutional money. And then I started using some of those techniques that we use to invest on my own. And I started off really small, and then just began to trade the market for income instead of it just being something that I did as a pastime. So mine took a little bit longer. You know, I kind of happenstance onto it later in life, but wow, it's been a game changer.
Yeah, most definitely. It sounds like it's been a game changer, like for sure, for sure. All right, let's give it up for Erica. Give it up for Erica. Yes, great. Next, David Thomas. What's your personal investment story, man?
Well, I recall growing up with a single parent, and we were poor. I recall going to the check cashing place and watching my mom cash her check and looking up at the board and seeing the percentage that they took from her, right? And it always baffled me how they're taking her money, the money that she worked for, and I didn't understand it. And it wasn't until I was about 14 and I had my first job, and I had to go down cash my check. And not only did FICA, which I didn't know what that was at the time, they took some of my money, and then the check cashing place took some of my money. And from then on out, I just always decided I don't want anybody taking my money. And it wasn't until I was about 16 or 17 when my mentor forced me to get a checking account. And he taught me that if I'm saving money, then it actually costs me less and they will give me money. Now back then, I'm a little bit older than some of you all, but back then you can get about 5 or 6% on your checking account as opposed to paying out 10 or 15%. So with that experience, and that forced me to want to be a business person. And I wanted to follow in my mentor's footsteps. So I studied finance. And studying finance taught me about interest rates and how I want to be paid first, and I don't want to pay out to other folks. So that's my story, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, most definitely. Y'all give it up for David. Y'all give it up for David. You guys' stories are very interesting. I mean, hearing that everyone's journey is different, all of the times that you guys found the interest in these, in making money like this is different. It shows that it doesn't matter what age you are or when or whatever time the idea breaks. So I'm loving this. I'm loving them. John Harris, a realtor over here, man. Tell me, what's the personal connection?
So mine is, I guess it's more of a hard-headed story.
Okay.
It took a long while. I came from a single-parent household, but I had one of the largest reservoirs of investment information in my mom. Just never took advantage of it. She had maybe 3 bookshelves. One of them was totally dedicated to money and investment matters. Totally over my head. Never picked up any of them. So fast forward to life, I had a career. Unfortunately, I got taken out of corporate America. I had gone down the right road. You know, I went to college, Georgia State scholarship, went out, got a job, corporate America, got married, had a kid. And, you know, I did the 401k. I put money in a pension because that's what I was told to do. But I never really thought about what I was doing. I just knew that I didn't actively save on my own. So to put money aside and just have it sit there when I didn't have to do anything, that was good for me, but it wasn't enough. So when I got fired from corporate America, it was just definitely a light switch. You know, something clicked into me. I had to take a little time and just kind of reevaluate myself. Then I went back to my mom's house and picked up some of those books. Multiple streams of income, More Wealth Without Risk. Then I started buying my own, you know, the Rich Dad, Poor Dads, things of that nature. And so that just basically changed my thinking. You know, I didn't make any aggressive, actionable steps at that time. You know, I did something else that my mother kind of taught me, get back to the kitchen as opposed to the fast food counter and Waffle House and things of that nature. And that kind of put a little bit more money in my bank account for when I was able to make that jump. You know, I was playing with my portfolios on Morningstar, and finally I just went to TD Ameritrade. I opened up an account, and I put a lot of money that I'd been saving up into a mutual fund. From that moment, I started just looking at things and just looking at everything as an investment of how I could basically pay my son, you know, give him a little bit of a better life. So I started getting into properties. I got a couple of properties right now, looking for a flip, and it's just basically a mentality change.
He said, I got a couple properties. Not one, not two, a couple, which means I'm assuming multiple, okay? So one thing that you said definitely stuck when you said, why keep going out like you're going to fast food restaurants, you know, when you could be at home cooking it yourself, you know? If you think about it separately from the actual literary version of, you know, cooking at home, but bringing in your own, I mean, making everything in the kitchen. That's the real whip right there. That's the real cooking of the juice right there. So I want to fast forward to now. I mean, describe what you guys, and you know, anyone can start this. Describe what your current investment strategies are, how you're engaged in that. So whether or not it's art, the stock market, real estate, what are you guys working on now? Who wants to start with that?
I can go ahead. Right now, I look into everything. Like I said, I got 2 properties that, you know, I rent out or whatnot. I'm also looking for my first flip, which is, that's an arduous process. Also looking for I want to get a vending machine to kind of get him some income when he is a little bit older. And I also do like little things that I could teach him, like acorns and stash, and I'll take that money out once it builds up to a certain point and put it into a crowd fund. And just, you know, just keep on reinvesting that money. So I just do a number of things.
Just do a lot of different things. And it's cool to have your hands in different things. I mean, it keeps you always having that income.
May not be everybody's route, but you know.
For sure. I can also say it's difficult. Entrepreneurship in itself is difficult. So you always have to, you're looking to invest in yourself as well as others. The greatest thing I have though is that degree. So my backup. So I was telling somebody there's a minimum salary I will never see, right? Because my degree then says I can go out and get a job tomorrow and make a certain amount of money always, right? So when people say, oh, you're a risk taker, no, I'm not. I know that I have a value there. So the first investment was the education piece. And then I think after that came, like for example, currently, what I'm working right now is I'm trying to educate, I'm working on educating more of, in particular, African Americans about the importance of collecting culture. There's a huge investment potential that is there. If you look at what art has done over the years, if you think about anybody who you know who's wealthy, not rich, wealthy, they have property, but they of course have all different types of investments but gold. They have things like that, right? Fine jewels, things like that as well. They also have art. You ever wonder why so many people have art? Art is currency. And the idea behind why it's currency is something I'm trying to get more of us to understand. Typically in our community, we wait till someone else validates something for us. So if somebody outside of our community tells us it's great, we're like, well, it's great now. Now we could have been rocking it for years. We could have had it in our house, never recognized the value of it until someone else tells us how great it is. And so in our community, unfortunately, that's what ends up happening. The art business is no different. There are guys out there who were just at Greenbrier Mall here in Atlanta, Georgia during the National Black Arts Festival years ago, who then went on. They may have been selling their paintings for $2,000 or $3,000. One artist in particular, his name is Simi Knox. Simi Knox went on to paint President Clinton for the White House. Well, Simi Knox now, his work starts at about $50,000 a face. They're doing a portrait. Now, if you would have had that painting that was $2,000, what do you think it's worth now? So you start looking at other things, other ways of investment. So there's the stock market. There's then also auction houses. And art that gets to the secondary market or auction houses becomes worth even more money. How many black-owned auction houses do you think there are? So my point is that we don't own any of the process. And so what I want to do is, ideally what I'm working on now is trying to get more of us into understanding these other ways of investing. So that's one of the main things. But at the same time, investing in myself in other ways. And if I have to use that engineering degree every now and again to re-up, I definitely do that as well.
For sure, for sure. Erica, let me come over to you. What are you working on now currently with the young Wall Street traders?
Okay, so first I'll tell you about my investment strategies, and then I'll tell you about Young Wall Street. So I have 3 main strategies right now. So my old 401ks are all in what's called exchange traded funds or mutual funds, and it's a diversified portfolio. So I have that set of investments. And then I have what I call forever stocks. And these forever stocks are stocks that I'm never going to sell. I'm going to hold on to them and pass them on to my kids to create generational wealth. So these are things that I buy every day. So Apple, because I own everything Apple, iPhones, iPads, everything. Procter & Gamble, because I'm constantly buying Tide and Dove soap and Charmin tissue and Bounty paper towels. Also Nikes, because my kids always want the new and hottest shoes that come out. So every time I buy them something, I go out and I also buy some of that stock as well. And that becomes my forever stock portfolio that I'm never going to touch, that builds wealth. And then finally, I day trade and swing trade for income. So I have a specific strategy that I use in order to kind of like scalp the market for income on a weekly basis. So that's what I'm doing now.
So you said those 3 things: day trading, you do, let me see, the forever stock, and then the first one
was just my old 401ks in a portfolio, a very diversified portfolio with ETFs, which are exchange traded funds and mutual funds.
So that means that all of you here in the studio audience, as well as all of you watching online, hopefully wrote those 3 down. Okay? Y'all be sure, all of you online, like, share, keep sharing, spread this knowledge about getting this long money. David, tell me about what you're working on, man.
Well, personally, I have several different investment strategies. One is my personal finances, so that's money for my household and for the future. So we utilize mutual funds. I've utilized real estate in the past. I have not thought about art as I'm learning now is definitely important. And the other thing I do is I invest in myself, which I think is the biggest thing I could do because no one can take that from me. We're all educated here, as you talked about your engineering degree. At no point can anybody take it from you now. And that's what I try to do with kids as well. I create funds for them on the side so for their futures. But again, nothing multiplies like the skills and the knowledge that I invest in them. I also believe in, taking full advantage of company matches, right? So in my company, they match up to 5%. So I take every opportunity to get that. You never give up the free money. But again, I just want to circle back. I think you have to diversify, so you have to do things with your cash and make sure that's set aside. You need to have some short-term money just in case for an emergency. But you also have to plan for the future and the long term. And I know when you're young, you don't really think about that. You think about right now, what can I get next month? but the sooner you start, the less steep that hill is. So you definitely want to save there, but again, you have to save and you have to invest in yourself, because at that point, no one can take it from you.
So for those high school students, college students, post-grad students, parents, anyone of any age, I mean, just go ahead and start. Learn about it. Find some people who are like individuals who are on this panel and trade. I mean, get that long money. It's out there, right? Yeah. It's out there. Might as well go ahead and get to it. So what I want you guys to do now is, you know, each one of you, give us a nugget. What do we walk away with, you know, those who, you know, I go to school for broadcast journalism, and, you know, it doesn't come across my head or desk every day that, you know, start trading, start investing. But I want to be able to have things like generational wealth, you know, being someone who still has a year left in school. How do we who are still in high school, we in college, as well as, you know, parents are older, how can we go ahead and get started? What nuggets can you guys give us with early investing? Go ahead and get started.
I'll start with this one. So this wasn't around when I was younger, but I would say, you know, start trying to get some knowledge and education about investing at a very early age, which is the reason why I started my nonprofit named Young Wall Street Traders. So Young Wall Street Traders, we teach kids, high school kids, 9th through 12th grade, how to invest and trade the stock market. So our premier program is a 2-week summer boot camp. And we start the boot camp with financial literacy, because we want them to know the basics, like what's the importance of credit, what's the importance of savings, what's the importance of budgeting. And then from there, we actually teach them how to invest. We show them that investing is for the long term, and we have them actually analyze stocks. So some of those same tools and techniques that I learned when I worked at the investment management company, I teach them how to analyze, look at return on equity, look at price to earning ratios, and be able to evaluate a stock from top to bottom. And then from there, I teach them actually how to trade the market. We have a step-by-step trading strategy where they learn how to pick hot stocks, how to trade those stocks, and most of them can make anywhere from $300 to $500 a week. And what I noticed is that here in Atlanta, I don't know if you all know, but Atlanta has been named the most unequal city in America. The wealth gap in Atlanta is like 20 times. So the top 5% is making 20 times more than the bottom percent. And the Brookings Institute did a report that there's a 96% chance that if you're born poor in Atlanta, that you're gonna die poor in Atlanta. So what does that mean? It means that upward mobility in Atlanta is nearly non-existent. So it's like the kids in the high school, they're already like facing an uphill battle trying to move from one income level to another. So when I saw those statistics and I thought about this skill and tool that I have to make money and build wealth, I said, you know, why not give this to high school students in the Atlanta area as well? Because even if they still want to go on and be an artist, they can do that, but they have a tool and a skill to build wealth through investing and trading. Even if they want to go on to be a musician or basketball player or another athlete, they still have a tool and a skill to build wealth. So that's what I would tell my younger self, is to go ahead and get enrolled in Young Wall Street Traders.
Get involved with Young Wall Street Traders. And I mean, it takes stories like yours to be able to allow a program and a benefit that you now offer, being able to pay it forward as well as giving back, to where we can all get this money and get this long money. Next nugget, go ahead and drop.
I think selling art has taught me something about understanding people, especially our people, our communities, and how what we invest in typically are not investments. So I think being younger, the bigger part is to not let some of these creature comforts that we think we need or desire outrule anything else. So for example, people work to buy a $5,000 handbag, for example, but it will do nothing for you. And you're only doing it because someone else has it or someone else told you it was great. I had this conversation once before about certain handbags are canvas, right? People pay $1,000 for a canvas bag. And the reason why you're paying this is because of the symbols that are on that bag. So you're investing that money into something like that. I had a client come in once She had on one of those bags, and she looked at the artwork and said, "Ooh, this artwork is expensive." I said, "Your handbag costs more than a few of the paintings that are in you." So it's what we value. So it's beginning to train your brain early on that those things out there. I'm not saying don't have nice things. I'm saying consider doing something else as well. So you can definitely have all those other creature comforts, but make sure in our investment that these things are not the things that are tying you down. If you can go in your closet right now and count about how much money you just have sitting in there that you won't have next year or wear next year, then you're wasting money. And so there are other investments you can make that are better than that. So that, I think that's the bigger issue. When it comes to understanding about art, we've created something at the gallery called Art Tastings where we talk about collecting, how to collect, why to collect, but not what to collect. But these are things like, so somebody says, well, I can't afford a painting now, but you'll have the information. So when you can afford a painting, you already know the information. And so at the gallery, matter of fact, we have one this Saturday at the gallery, at Zuccotti Gallery. And so we have the information on social media, so people are welcome to come out. It's free and open to the public. But our whole goal is just trying to get us to wake up. And why do we not care about culture? Why do we not care about our culture? But everybody else does, and everybody else is making money off of us. So we need to wake up and get some of that money too.
Get to that long money. I mean, that's what we're talking about. People here in the audience, people here on live, that's what we're talking about. So if you're on live, share, so that other people can see how to get to this long money. Instagram, share, heart. If you're watching it, all of it, share it up. Okay, so next nugget.
My biggest nugget I think I could give would be, and I love all the strategies that you all talked about, but I think start as early as you can, right? No matter what strategy you're using, it's your time that allows you to have that growth, right? It is your young age that makes you so promising, right? You have an opportunity. So you could start, either your parents could help you, to get into, let's say, a mutual fund could take as little as $100, right? And I'm not giving you advice on which funds to purchase, but I'll share with you this, and it's a strategy that almost all working adults use, even if they don't know it. It's called dollar cost averaging, right? And they do it in their 401ks, and they just purchase periodically, maybe monthly or bi-weekly. So if stocks go up, you buy a little less because it's expensive, but you still are building on your wealth. If stocks go down, it's on sale. So now you get a little bit more. And that also helps reduce your risk. And being young, you have time, and that's your greatest asset, right? When investing is, you have time to keep having, what do we call it, compounding interest. So your money is now making money for you, right? And that's ultimately how you have to live when you retire. You have to have your money make money for you. So use your time wisely, start as soon as you can. Don't think it's too complicated, all right? Trust me, I've seen some of the games the kids play and the coding that they can do. You're way ahead of a lot of folks, so you can definitely do it.
Thank you, David. John, how can we go ahead and get started with early investing?
Mine is really just, I guess, an echo of what my three colleagues have said. It's mainly just starting out early, man. Just starting out early, and don't be afraid of the information. Like in my story, I would see statements like those American Century statements of Charles Schwab, and I would kind of peek in them and open them and see what was going on, and it would make me look in a book, and you would see those words or those phrases. I don't know what a 12B1 is, what no load means. I don't know what none of that, at that time. And so it was just kind of I'm cool with that. She said save, okay, I'll figure it out sometime. But it wasn't anything that was cool. It's not anything that we talk about in our community is, how much money are you putting aside? We may talk about when the Jordans come out. But it just seemed like there was a fear of that information, especially in my case. And that's the biggest thing I could say. Just don't be afraid of going to get that information, because like as a kid, you know, you guys like to do what you want to do, and that's what that money is going to set you up for in the future, is to be able to appreciate that time and do what you want to do.
Yes.
So that's my golden nugget.
That's for sure. All these golden nuggets. My audience, come on. All these nuggets on how to get to this long money. That is what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Now, my last question to all of you, if you mentioned, you know, events that you have coming up, how they can get involved with your programming, your lessons, how can our audience live, Instagram, Facebook, as well as in the audience get involved with that? And then what are some career options that you can suggest to our teens, to our viewers, so how they can get involved with what you're doing and some career options that they can have? Let's go on down.
Okay, so for us, we can be reached on all social media at Zucot Gallery, Z-U-C-O-T Gallery. We also advertise a lot of our events there. If you want to reach us directly, we can be reached at info@zucotgallery.com. We also offer summer internships for college students.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Summer
At
internships.
Zucot Gallery.
Now these are unpaid internships. Let's be clear. We talk about saving money, right? But at the same time, the idea behind the internships, though, is to also offer some of this experience, and we really do give our interns real-world experience, and a lot of times they do it for class credits. So we do that as well. So
And time is money, okay?
right, because that's all you're gonna get at the gallery is get as much time as you need, you know. So, but ideally, though, I would say then, you know, those are the best ways to reach us. We'd love to have you come out and visit with us. We also do field trips for young people, for students, yeah, please just hit us up, and we'd love to talk to you. And follow us on Instagram, social, Twitter, any other social media that's out there.
Well, I work at Suntrust. Suntrust does offer paid internships, and you would just have to apply. And I think on a periodic basis, especially now, they are looking for young folks like yourself to offer opportunities. I also run a nonprofit called Georgia Excel Youth Development, where we're always looking for young mentors who can come in and tutor and help younger kids. So there's an opportunity there where we help some high school students, you know, get their volunteer hours in by tutoring and helping younger kids. So it's sort of each one teach one. And that's, you know, so that's what I'm here for as well.
Thank you, David. John?
Yes, sir. So my company is 285 South Realty. I work with your traditional buyers as well as your investors. My online presence is probably not as great as the rest of these guys. You know, I have Facebook. You can also reach me at 285south.com. I don't have any programs or anything as far as young people, but I am definitely more than willing to share my knowledge about investment. Like I say, I work with a lot of investors and try to help them, whether it be buying rental properties or flips. So that's my story.
And good luck on that flip. Man.
I know.
All right.
I know.
All right. And Miss Erica Blair, how can young people get involved with the Young Wall Street Traders? And I know that you said you have programming for high school students, but you know, what about us college students? What are some career options for us as well?
Well, you can reach Young Wall Street at www.youngwallstreet.org. That's our website, and then we're also on Facebook at Young Wall Street Traders and Instagram at Young Wall Street Traders. And I'm also a professor at Clark Atlanta, so I love to teach, I love to share my knowledge. So I would say as far as career options to, you know, get a finance degree, because that'll teach you everything you need to know about investing and the history of money and how you can make money work from you in real estate, art, and investing.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my phenomenal panel. Come on. And now I'm gonna hand it over to James, who's gonna give us some questions from our audience.
Y'all killed that. Y'all killed that. Now look, I had some questions from our audience, but in the wrap up, it seems like you guys actually covered most of them. But one thing that I wanted to ask is how do you deal with the losses? Because like in the words of Pops on Friday, you win some, you lose some. And I've done some investing myself. And I remember like just even like a few months ago, like the stock market was like a little crazy and I took my first couple of L's. And I was like, oh my God, like should I cash out? Do I need to run? Like what do I need? Do I invest more? So like, tell me about the experience that you guys had when you took a loss on an investment, and what did you do to recuperate or to just, you know, maneuver through that situation?
Well, I'll chime in, and that was sort of part of the strategy that I was talking about earlier. So if you're dollar cost averaging and investing on a monthly basis, it'll sort of smooth out that drop, right? So again, when it goes down, you buy a little more as long as the investment that you made was sound. Now, you have to know when to cut your losses, but if you made a good investment and it's just some short-term volatility, you have to remain confident and continue. Yeah, and never put all of your eggs in one basket as well. So if you're diversified, right, you know, look, if Apple goes down, then maybe Google might go up. So that diversification will help smooth out that drop for you.
Definitely. One more thing, could one of our panelists expound on what mutual funds actually are? We were talking a lot today about mutual funds. Could you go into maybe a small detail on more?
Well, I'll give you an example, right? If you look at just a stock, and I mentioned Apple earlier, right? Apple is an individual company. A mutual fund is sort of like a basket full of companies, right? So you not only might have Apple, you might have, again, Google, you have Sony in that basket there. So instead of investing in just that one company, you get a bunch of smaller pieces of a variety of companies.
So is that similar, and I'm sorry if I get the acronym wrong, EFTs, is that kind of like this?
Yeah,
because I know that that's a group of companies that you can
Yes.
invest small increments in. Because like you were talking about the Stash app and the Acorns app, that's what they actually do. They would take small amounts and invest them into multiple companies.
Yeah.
So kind of basically like the same principle.
Yep.
And do you think that that's a good investment for college students to kind of like start and get their feet wet?
The sooner, the better. Because again, you have time, right? Here's what we know. I mean, just from history. And that doesn't mean, you know, I got to say this disclaimer, that the past doesn't dictate future performances. But here's what we know, right? The stock market goes up, the stock market goes down. But generally, it trends upward, right? And if you have enough, if it's 1 year's worth of time, you may not want to be too risky because we know the stock market could be down in a year. But over the last 30 years, there's been tremendous growth, right? And you all have 60, 70 years to invest and live off your investment. So you have that time to get to that compounding interest. So invest early and often.
Definitely. And speaking of investment and investing early, any of you guys get in on any cryptocurrencies or Bitcoins like early on? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm a cryptocurrency investor as well. So I have a whole asset allocation. So I know that I can only spend a certain percentage on what I call highly speculative, risky investments. So only 5% of my investable assets did I put in cryptocurrencies, but I was able to make a killing off that little 5%. And so with cryptocurrencies, I was totally against them in the beginning because they went against everything that I was taught as an MBA student. They have no value, no intrinsic value. They have no property to back it up. They have no financial statements. They have no backing. So everything that I was taught to analyze a stock or an investment goes totally out the window with cryptocurrencies. But what I did was I had to change my mindset and think about it in different terms. So I thought of it in terms of private equity. Anybody know about private equity or venture capitalists? So venture capitalist thing is go big or go home. right? So they put millions and millions of dollars into maybe 10 investments, and they know that 90% of those investments are going to fail. But they're waiting on that one that's going to make all the other ones seem like nothing, right? So that's the same outlook I look with cryptocurrencies. So I invested in about 7 cryptocurrencies. I had about a 300% return on all of them.
Oh, that's it?
300% in about 7 months, which in a year, your bank account is going to give you what, about 1.5%?
If
The
that.
S&P 5,
I
right?
say
the
if that.
The S&P
If that.
500
That's
is going to
good.
give you what, about 12 to 15%. But cryptocurrencies gave me an average of 300%, and I had one that did 30,000% in 7 months. So, but I'm a chart reader, so I know how to read charts, and I know when to get in and when to get out. So, yes, I was able to take advantage of the cryptocurrencies, and I do still have some of my money left in cryptocurrencies.
Do you? Okay,
Yes.
let's talk after this. 30,000, that's quite attractive. That's quite attractive. Well, hey, man, that was episode 2, Long Money. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I know our studio audience was lit today. And remember, share, comment, like. Financial literacy is a language that unfortunately a lot of people aren't speaking. But here, we believe that money talks. And as always, we ask you, what is your money saying about you? You'll. 30,000, girl, what? 30,000.
Money in there. I only put 200 in it.
Sheesh.
Okay, Madoff.
Sheesh.